Rob Van Dam is just your average, ultra-buff, tree-punching landscape architect who must escape from a multicultural gang of thugs after he wanders into the wrong side of town.
Fuck is this?
Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and however else you wish to self-identify, to The Fuck Is This for the concluding chapter of WrestleMania! I am Kaz Lescard, and over here on my right is Jameson Rafter.
Hello again, everybody.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, Jameson, guess what?
What's up, Kaz?
This is our 10th episode.
No way!
Yeah,
Not counting that doubleheader that we did with Reach Me?
Well, that was one episode.
That's right.
That we split into twain.
Yeah,
So I got, alright, fine. So our last episode was our 10th episode. Thanks for taking all of the error immediately out of it.
That's what I do.
I just kind of thought, I don't know, I thought it would be nice to acknowledge the fact that
It is fun to acknowledge.
it's a milestone.
We've watched 10 movies on this stupid show of ours.
Do you think we'd ever get here?
I didn't think so. But no, this is a big deal. Happy 10th film anniversary.
Happy 10th film anniversary
Whatever.
to you too.
I didn't get you anything.
I did, but that's for after this.
That is for the Fuck Is This after hours.
Alright, anyway, we're gonna jump right into this one because we have a very awesome guest star on the show today. I've known this guy for going on close to 2 decades now, probably over that. I met him at the first job I ever had directly out of high school at Jubilations Dinner Theater in Calgary, Alberta. He's an actor, a writer, a producer, a stunt coordinator, a fight choreographer, and 3 other things that I didn't even know about until we were walking into the apartment today.
Some friend you are.
And he currently manages a stable of wrestlers for Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling under the alias Christopher Cassidy. Please welcome to the show, Mike Kovac.
Hello, my friends. Good to see you. And I should before anything else happens, I should say that I'm a sometimes stunt actor. Stunt coordinator will get me lynched by someone. Yeah, stunt coordinator is a really specific thing.
I only said that because I was checking out your IMDb while I was writing it. It says stunt coordinator.
It does, which is every time I change it, it goes back because under the it's so weird. It's so weird. Without getting too deep.
Yeah,
into
without
I would say that I can be a fight coordinator for film, but stunt coordinator is the purview of car stunts, fire stunts, all of those things, and being the the umbrella of all of that and making sure all of that is safe. And so Mike Ching, Rob Hader, all these wonderful other people in Vancouver, those are stunt coordinators. I am but a pawn unto their safety web.
All right, well,
they're very capable hands.
Stunt coordinator union, you heard it first.
Stop calling
I'm
us.
debating. I'm sorry. that is not. We're safe.
Right on.
Right. Well, Mike, on this show we watch strange and baffling movies, and this month we're doing movies that are starring wrestlers. And you have been connected to the world of wrestling since you were 17. You were
17, yeah. Since I was 17 years old, I was still in high school. I needed my parents to sign a waiver. Because I couldn't do it myself. And I was at BJ's gym, which is I believe still standing in Calgary, with the smallest ring in the world with actual ropes. And I kid you not, not 2 feet outside of those ropes were walls that were imprinted with the bodies of wrestlers.
Oh, great.
I have a theory that the reason why so many wrestlers are from Calgary are great at snap suplexes is because the roof wasn't high enough for us to go to full extension. And so it's just like the dungeon, you had to do these snap suplexes that were very, very small.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. And just mysteriously enough, everybody that trained in Calgary can do really great snap suplexes. And I think that's why. I swear to goodness.
Because otherwise you're going to go face first and do it.
Yeah, you're going to go legs through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Such a... So
be a rite of passage to
get
your mark.
And it was. I remember going through the ropes and hitting the wall. And
you've left your mark.
I have left my mark.
BJ's gym.
Assuming they haven't changed the walls, which I can't imagine they have because they would immediately be destroyed again. So just completely destroyed. So
they took casts of them and then they redid it and then they just
people
painted
go back and sign where they hit.
Many famous wrestlers I'm sure have gone through the walls of that. But now Lance has his academy out there. and whatnot. So I hope people don't train in the BJ's gym a whole bunch anymore for their own safety.
Yeah. Training practices haven't been updated since like the early 2000s.
The training itself is solid. The ring was just a death trap. Yeah.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah.
Like the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Right. So for the people who haven't seen an ECCW match, tell us a bit about who Christopher Cassidy is.
Christopher Cassidy is a legal advisor who originally debuted as the lawyer for El Phantasmo, and for those
I've seen El Phantasmo.
Yeah, for those in the wrestling community that know El Phantasmo, he's been plying his trade for quite some time now. But basically, it was this opportunity that was set out on a silver platter for me. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better setup. I was his manager for the first ECCW Ballroom Brawl out here at the Commodore Ballroom, which was a ladder match between El Phantasmo and Ravenous Randy Myers. It was an incredible match, and like seriously, I walked into it, which was truly amazing. Cassidy is not an agreeable person by any stretch of the imagination. He will do whatever it takes to win, and usually whatever it takes amounts to like the worst possible decisions, morally, ethically, and bodily. Yeah, he's just a
lot of dirty moves.
He's got a cane, he's got a briefcase, a lot of hits with those.
I hate him already.
And he does, on like almost every occasion, suffer for them in some small way. He takes a lot of hits.
That's what the public wants to see, though.
Yeah, which is very true. And he's had the experience to work with fantastic wrestlers as a result of all of these. He was punched in the face by $1 Million Man.
Nice.
Which
that was gonna be my follow up question. You said you got to work personally with $1 Million Man.
I did. It was in the strangest setting in the world. It was out in Cloverdale, and ECCW still runs, I'm pretty sure, these Cloverdale rodeo shows, which are like there'll be 3 shows in a day. And they're a great opportunity for like young talent to kind of like do a match in front of like 30 people where it's not a big pressure situation, and actually go out there. And there'll be like 3 different events in the day. And so you'll potentially wrestle 3 times that day, and you'll do it for 3 days in a row. It's great. And then on the Saturday nights, they try and put together some sort of
main event
sort of thing. And so, ECCW had brought in $1 Million Man, and he was going to act as the manager for the other team. But as of that point in time, they had 2 on the other side, 2 on his side, but they were like, we need somebody else, or else it's arguably 3 against 2, which is not very good storytelling odds for the faces on the other side. And so when I showed up, they're like, you're going to manage this other team. And I was like, okay, great. And there's $1 Million Man, and we got to work together and whatnot. And it was fun because he's such an amazing professional. He knows exactly what he's doing, as a Hall of Famer for WWE should. And things during the match started to shift and change, and not in a bad way at all. We were not supposed to get physical at all with each other. In fact, he was post-surgery, and it just so happened that one thing led to another, and I was faced with either I walk away, which is completely not what I should do in this situation, or I get in his face, and so I got in his face and got clocked for it. And I regret nothing. I regret nothing at all. He didn't
Fist of a legend.
Yeah, he didn't have to fall or anything like that, and it was a great experience.
I gotta imagine that's a badge of honor.
It was wonderful. It was fantastic, and especially because I showed up with my stuff not expecting anything potentially to happen, because I hadn't been scheduled for anything specific, and then to have $1 Million Man, and it was great. Great learning experience. We got to talk afterwards and say a couple things, and I asked him for advice, and he gave great advice.
Can you share that advice?
That's sort of like trade secret.
No. It's nothing trade secret. Basically, it was trust the people you're in the ring with, which is very, very true, and he was absolutely 100% right. And that was the basis of what he was saying. There was like really, really match specific kind of stuff. Yeah. But basically it was trust the people you're in the ring with. You have to lean on them. You can't tell the story all by yourself. And he's right. He's completely right. Yeah.
How often does ECCW get to work and meet people who've been in the WWE and other major circuits?
Well, that's the thing, is that we've had some amazing talents come up through ECCW. The Singh brothers in WWE right now are the Bollywood boys from ECCW. Nicole Matthews just finished her women's stint down there. Ravenous Randy Myers has been under contract. There are multiple PWI top 500 wrestlers that come from ECCW every year. We have got the wonderful chance to work with Davey Boy Smith Jr., Bruce the Barber Beefcake, $1 Million Man, Kyle O'Reilly, like all of these people that have come through ECCW, and Becky Lynch was part of ECCW way back when. Yeah, she's like, so we've had like a great slew of people come through and are now in WWE or AEW or whatever else there. So yeah, it's a good cast of people. It's a good crew. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, and you were telling me that in addition to that, you've also gotten to meet people like Mick Foley and Diamond Dallas Page.
Yes, yeah, Diamond Dallas Page showed up backstage, no word of a lie, at our I think our Halloween show one year, and it was like all of us just tried to act like this was normal. Like all of us were changing. We were changing in a tent. And he walked in, and we were like, DDP's here, good. Yeah, he's not late this time. Yeah,
just get my jockstrap on.
Yeah, I'll just kind of, so, and I haven't had a chance to work with Mick Foley, but I've had a chance to meet him, which was a wonderful experience, and he
seems like a sweet fella.
He was a hero of mine as I was growing up, and he's still a hero of mine because he's one of the sweetest people in the world, and he's just a lovely, lovely human being, and so, yeah, I can't say enough good things about him. It's been a very positive experience all around. I feel like somewhere in the wrestling world, there, like, to even things out karma wise, there's a person that has like just had a negative experience with everyone they've met, because all of mine have been very positive. It's been great. Yeah.
That's great.
Unfortunate.
Cool, man. Yeah, so we were doing the research on what wrestler movies we should be doing for this podcast, and so I've been hitting Wikipedia hard trying to find some good ones, and an early decision I made early on was I was going to stay away from WWE films.
Yeah.
But as I was going down your IMDb, I noticed you were in a movie that was produced by WWE
I was
Films.
in a movie. Yeah, I was in a movie. I was in a WWE movie. I'm credited as Skinhead in that movie. Yeah, which was great it was wonderful to film.
It's called Interrogation.
Interrogation,
with Edge and Lana.
Yeah, I did not get to work with Lana. I got to be killed by Edge, though. We had a little bit of a chase thing, and then a big shootout, and he, again, is a wonderful, just absolutely lovely human being. And I actually have a picture with him that you can see through Facebook. You can pull it from there, whatever. If you see the photo, I'm tilting my head to one side as we're like there together. It's because I was playing a racist like neo-Nazi with the name like Skinhead, and I had a huge swastika on my neck. So I was trying to
something you want.
I was trying to like take a picture with him with this like tilted
right
neck, not making it look. And there's all of this like Nazi paraphernalia behind us.
So maybe like do that picture outside or
that's the thing is that like we were in this set. The downstairs was this Nazi bar, and then the upstairs was this Nazi hideout. So there was nowhere we could go.
Nazi upstairs, Nazi
downstairs,
around.
And so he was an absolute lovely individual to work with, and was totally down for taking a picture. We've been working together.
Too bad it was under better
circumstances. It just really looks like I'm turning away.
That's one of those pictures that you're really happy you have, but you don't show it to everyone.
No,
I keep that on the down.
I think when I put it up, I was like, by the way, we're doing a movie. We're not Nazis. I swear. Yeah.
Yeah, answering a lot of phone calls later that
Yes,
day.
yeah.
So, shifting things over to movies now. We got to focus on this show for those really obscure, bizarre movies that have, like famous people in them, but like, it's like,
they kind of hope that you don't know about it.
Yeah, like why on earth did somebody make this? Do you have a favorite one of those?
Do you remember there was an Oscar winner called All the King's Men?
Yeah.
So they did a remake of that movie.
I've seen that remake.
Yes, that had like all these people in
Everyone
it.
was
Everyone was in it, and I heard nothing about it, and I can only I guess I can't call it my favorite, but I assume it wasn't good because it just had.
Oh, it wasn't.
Okay, well there you go.
Wasn't.
That was
no.
Yeah.
It was a dry, portentous slog with the cream of Hollywood overacting like fucking crazy.
That's what it seemed like. So that's my I guess my favorite instance of, I don't know, what was the deal behind it? Was it just that they
I think they just wanted to remake it. It's one of those movies that makes that shortlist alongside that Ben-Hur that they came out with 2 years ago
of
movies that won Best Picture that someone decided, you know what, not good enough. Let's go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, like that's like the remake
Let's
of
desecrate a classic.
Yeah, like the remake of The Shining they did, like made for TV, The Shining, like while Jack Nicholson is still alive. Like,
Well, the interesting thing behind that one is that the TV remake of The Shining, the 2-part miniseries, had the full backing and support of Stephen King,
and that's
who famously hates the Kubrick movie.
It's the death knell. Stephen King is one of my favorite writers. I love Stephen King. I have this working theory, though, that any book of his that's being adapted to a movie will be a screaming success as long as he has nothing to do with the making of it. As long as he stays
any
away
involvement whatsoever, and just because.
And he's like, it's just a cavalcade of wonderful movies, like The Shining, Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, all of these.
And he hates them all.
And I don't know if he hates them all.
No,
but like,
he doesn't like the artistic liberties that Kubrick took with the movie. But then, because the TV miniseries is staunchly it follows the book, like to a point. But you sort of realize there's some goofy things in the book that don't translate.
The hedge monsters,
the CGI hedge monsters that attack the kid. Remember at the end of The Shining, Jack Nicholson is chasing around Shelley Duvall with a baseball bat. In the book, it's a croquet mallet.
Oh, baseball bat.
Slightly larger than usual croquet mallet, but still not quite as menacing.
Baseball bat's a little more threatening.
Yeah,
gets the point.
So
how involved was Stephen King in The Dark Tower?
I shuddered. I don't know.
I think everyone stayed away from that.
It's so tough. It's so rough. I mean, was it the...
well, what a hard series to try and adapt anyway. They're going to take another shot at it with a TV series, which seems like the better way to go with it.
Like, I think if they were going to, like, trying to ensure success, they would go like, okay, HBO, here's The Dark Tower, go for it, kind of thing. Although I know that HBO is a little bit rocky right now, with the ending of Game of Thrones. I don't know how up-to-date people are, but I do know that some people are upset with how it ended. That being said, they continued on past the books. That were the kind of the rock that were holding so many of those big plot twists and stuff like that together.
How many people are like canceling their HBO subscriptions right now?
Although apparently I've heard that
they're doing prequels.
Yeah, they're doing prequels. And what is the name? This is terrible. The nuclear power.
Oh, Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. I've heard it's amazing.
I heard
great things about Chernobyl.
I've heard it's fantastic. And
so maybe everyone will shift from fantasy to actual
terror,
history revisionists kind of stuff.
That's like a part-time miniseries, right?
Yeah, they're doing just, I think, what, 6 episodes?
Because eventually, you run out of story with Chernobyl. You run into the same problem. You run out of story for Chernobyl, and then they just make up new Chernobyl facts because the public demands more.
And then they bring in dragons, and people come back from the dead.
And then we're back in there. That's the prequel right there.
Well, welcome to our Game of Thrones podcast, everyone.
Don't sign the petition, sign the petition. I don't care.
Oh my god. All right, so let's move on to the actual movie that we are watching today. So for the final episode of WrestleMania, we're going to have a movie that stars not one, not two, but 3 WWE superstars.
Yes, spoiling us, guys.
Today's movie is called Wrong Side of Town. And the biggest name attached to this is current blockbuster superstar Dave Bautista. Who surprised the hell out of everybody by proving that he's actually a damn good actor.
Absolutely,
arguably the best actor.
I think he's fantastic. Yeah. I think he's great.
Or he's just picking really good roles.
Yeah, maybe that's it too.
This was Batista's first movie role.
Oh, really?
And in a little bit of movie trivia, Batista stated in an interview with Men's Fitness that upon watching the finished product, he was appalled and ashamed of his acting and began to work under an acting coach.
Oh,
so this was the movie.
He is a true actor. Then, if he looked at his work and went, "This is terrible." That's the mark.
Launched 1,000 ships.
So Dave Bautista is the draw. Unfortunately, he is not the lead actor in the movie. That honor instead goes to Rob Van Dam.
Oh, no!
Now, I am not, as I've said on the past couple of episodes, I'm very casually into wrestling. You two, explain to me why I should care about Rob Van Dam. What's his deal?
I love Rob Van Dam. Mr. Van Dam, if you hear this, I very much respect
He has a very active social media presence.
He's one of our 7 subscribers.
universe.
Yes, I very much. I really enjoy him as a wrestler. I think that he's a fantastic wrestler. I think that especially his matches between him and Jerry Lynn. You know, it's cliche, but they burnt the house down when it comes to so many of his time in ECW was great. WWE, he had a fantastic run as well. He's now active in, I can't remember what promotion, but his style of wrestling I think is completely on point. At no point in time, though, would I have said acting. I want to see him do more acting. And I don't say that in a mean way at all.
Well, wait till the movie's over.
Yeah, he could be fantastic.
Could be a highlight.
He could be great. It's like, I don't know, I put that in the same area of like, Matisse. Wow, he's what an amazing painter. But how is his tap dance? They're different things. They're just different things.
There was a split second there where I thought there was a wrestler named Matisse. You were referencing.
There is now. There's totally, in some
that gimmick hasn't been taken yet, folks. If there's any young professionals.
And who knows, maybe Matisse was an amazing tap dancer. I just didn't know it. Yeah.
Well, Rob Van Dam certainly did not go on to have the acting career that Bautista ended up having. The few other acting credits other than this movie I was able to dig up for him were Black Mask 2, City of Masks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Three-Headed Shark Attack.
Well, that's a classic.
Starring our good buddy Danny Trejo.
Yes. Yeah.
And a Steven Seagal movie called Sniper Special Ops, which surprisingly is unrelated to the long-running Sniper series starring Tom Berenger and Billy Zane, of which there are 7 movies.
Really?
And he couldn't get in one of those?
No, this is one that's completely unrelated to it. Also, I want to bring up, this is the DVD cover, and it's doing that thing that we love where it just puts the last names on it. So this is a movie starring Seagal Van Damme.
Oh, wow. That's
great love shot.
That's exactly what I thought it was going to be like. This is great. This is fantastic.
And the third wrestler in this is someone that I wasn't even aware was a wrestler until I started doing my research on this. But he's a alarmingly large gentleman named Nelson Frazier Jr., also known as Viscera.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Viscera, who also apparently went by the names Big Daddy V.
Yep.
And Mabel.
King Mabel. Yeah. This is good. This is a treat.
Wow.
This is a treat.
Why was his name Mabel?
Okay, this isn't going to answer why his name is Mabel.
Okay.
But I remember him being introduced as Mabel when he was part of Men on a Mission, or MOM. Way back when.
I like where this is going.
I want to say like 93, something like that. And he just a big man that had this. They wrapped their entrance on the way in. Because there was. They would
wrap their own entrance.
Sorry, they wouldn't. Their manager would wrap their entrance going in. I can't remember his name at all, and I'm sure wrestling purists out there are going to know like. Oh, you don't remember that? That's terrible. But it was Mabel, I want to say Mo was his tag partner, and then their manager, and so they just kind of had this beat. They would come out, and it was like parachute pants, kind of, and so yeah, he was Mabel, and then King Mabel because he won King of the Ring, and then that transferred into Viscera, and then Big Daddy V because he got the Viscera name when he was part of the Undertaker's Ministry days. None of this explains why.
No, that was going to be my follow-up question, is why was he named Viscera?
So, the Ministry was this dark, that was like super satanic Undertaker. Because he went from like Undertaker kind of lights in the early 90s kind of thing.
And then the Attitude Era.
And then the Attitude Era, and then he became kind of like this like really, really dark, like kind of satanic lord sort of thing. And in that, he had the Ministry, and the Ministry was his faction, and he had the Acolytes, which became the APA, or the Acolyte Protection Agency. He had Midian, which was another underling of his, and he had Viscera, which was Mabel, who was still under contract, but they just Viscera, because why not? Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, because I had to look this word up, Viscera literally means internal organs.
Yeah, I say that like I was like, oh, of course. He had nothing to do, like
no, it wasn't part of. He didn't come out wearing like intestines as like a boa or anything.
I think they were just like, oh, that's a cool word, Viscera. You're Viscera. Yeah, which would not be the first time that they've done that. Yeah, at all. At all.
Yeah. That's pretty creative, given some of like the pedigree they give like some of the earlier wrestlers.
Yeah,
and you're a fat guy, so we're gonna call you we're gonna call you Earthquake.
Other people who are in this movie are a gentleman named Omarion, who I'm
I'm not fucking familiar with,
No.
but I looked it up. He is a R&B singer who was also one of the leads in the cinematic classic You Got Served.
Perfect. This is right on point.
He was also in the boy band B2K, whose other members include Lil Fizz, Raz B, and J-Boog.
Are you making some of these names up?
And now, no, those are all real, and now that I've said them out loud, congratulations, Jameson, we are officially the whitest show on the internet! I knew we'd get there!
That was the most Caucasian way you could have read those, and I'm so happy for it. Yeah.
I'm looking for Mr. J-Boog. Is it Jabouge? Possibly?
I'm sure they're present on social media and won't identify themselves by
No, there's someone out there who knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out that when I was researching that, when you go on Spotify, the top 3 songs by B2K are Bump, 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 and Bada Boom.
Jesus Christ.
I'm in.
Yeah. I didn't
like,
realize the key to writing R&B songs was to talk like
fall
a
down
toddler.
a staircase and like...
That speaks to everybody, though.
Yeah.
You don't need to understand English. That's global. That's smart. That's,
And the two
So
of them...
if they notice a little uptick in their popularity on Spotify, you know who to thank, B2K.
And the 2 other people that I want to mention who are in this cast are actor, rapper, and co-founder of the greatest music festival ever created, Ja Rule.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
And the final person, she has over 150 film credits, and she is the reason why far too many people know what Donald Trump's dick looks like.
Oh, no.
Stormy Daniels.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
This is...
What a collection!
I can't
What a
believe
collection.
this.
Oh my
I
God.
can't believe this. This is great. Yeah, this is a smorgasbord of
Jesus.
just...
So I want to plow through something here.
Just like Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels is a fascinating point, by the way. If you want, go read Stormy Daniels' Wikipedia page. There's so many fascinating things. She, ran for office, and then, her campaign manager's car blew up. Someone tried to, assassinate her campaign manager. It's too late. We can't go down, a rabbit hole right now, but, Stormy Daniels... Stormy Daniels, for some people, is a punchline, but I'm just saying, Stormy Daniels is a fascinating woman.
Oh, yeah, nothing but respect.
Alright, so I'm going to go into something that I like to do. This is going to be a really long episode of this show, but I've recently really gotten into this Friday the 13th podcast called In Voorhees We Trust, and all of their episodes are 2.5 hours, so you know what?
So strap in.
I'm not even worried anymore. I'm not even worried. I don't even care.
I mean,
I don't even care! So, as I like to do on this show before we go into the movie, I want to talk a little bit about the person who made the movie. Mm-hmm. And the writer and director of this movie is a man named David DeFalco. Now, he's had a very long career producing...
kind of familiar.
Well, I'm going to list off a ton of his movies. Possibly you've seen some of them.
Okay.
They sound like titles you might have enjoyed at one point. But he's been producing Z-grade schlock since 1989. He's got either a writing or a producing credit on titles like Heavy Metal Massacre, Hideous, with an exclamation mark.
yeah.
Lolita 2000, which, as the name suggests, is, in fact, a sci-fi take on Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita.
Oh,
wow.
What we all needed.
Yeah.
And Point Doom, which has the very promising trio of Richard Grieco, Andrew Dice Clay, and Ice-T.
And, do you know when that was made?
I can look it up.
Does
that sound familiar?
Because that could have been that could be an
in their,
incredible cast. That could be
in their prime.
In their prime. I feel like it's not going to be.
That could be no. That could be a future episode. I'll splice in what year it was right here.
2000.
Bam.
Right.
What a
year. What a vintage.
What a good year.
So as a director, he's only directed 3 movies. His first movie was the 2002 film The Backlot Murder, which somehow he managed to get Corey Haim and the voice of Roger Rabbit, Charles Fleischer, into that one.
Okay.
Which is about a rock band being picked off by a serial killer.
That old chestnut. Yeah.
But the movie that I want to talk about, I want to talk about this kind of in depth before we get into the movie we're actually going to watch. But it's really fascinating. I didn't know anything about this until I started researching this, but this is really sort of interesting. The second movie that he wrote and directed has a little bit of notoriety. Bring it up now. So in 2005, he wrote and directed a movie called Chaos. Now, Chaos, from its description, is basically
just a complete and total ripoff of Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left.
Okay,
It's about two girls who go into the woods, they meet a bunch of inbred hillbillies, they're raped and murdered, and then the second half of it, the killers go to the house of the parents of one of them, and the parents figure it out.
That does sound exactly like The Last House on the Left.
The only difference in Chaos from Last House on the Left is that the main villain of that movie, whose name is Chaos, actually wins and ends up killing the parents.
Okay, all right.
Good movie.
Yeah.
The legendary film critic and master of shade, Roger Ebert,
Really?
wrote a review of Chaos,
Oh, please.
giving it 0 stars, and had this to say. Chaos is ugly, nihilistic, and cruel. A film I regret having seen. I urge you to avoid it. It is an exercise in heartless cruelty, and it ends with careless brutality. The movie denies not only the value of life, but the possibility of hope.
Jesus.
There are 2 scenes so gruesome, I cannot describe them in a newspaper, no matter what words I use. When the film was over, I was filled with sadness and disquiet. Much of the action involves the girls weeping and pleading for their lives. When the film pauses for dialogue, it is often racist. And then Pulitzer Prize-winning film reviewer Roger Ebert ended his review by asking, "Why do we need this shit?"
You can't print that.
I think he probably blanked out the middle 2 words.
That may be, to a certain audience, though, the greatest review of all time.
It's one of my... I love Roger Ebert's reviews, and it's certainly one of my favorites.
That is...
Also, according to Wikipedia, although I can't find any evidence to support that this actually happened, but apparently, before the screening Ebert was at, DeFalco allegedly shouted, "I'm the king of violence, and I'm a demon."
Wow.
Now, I actually tracked down Chaos, and I watched it, and I concur with everything that Mr. Ebert said, except for one point when he said, when the dialogue pauses, it is often racist. It is far more homophobic than it is racist, although it's also a virulently racist movie as well. But interestingly...
It's not slacking in any kind of hate department.
No.
It hates everything equally.
It's a thoroughly hateful movie.
Especially its audience.
Yeah. Yes.
But interestingly enough, DeFalco and the film's producer, Stephen J. Bernheim, actually wrote a response to Ebert's review.
Oh.
And in it, they said...
I'm sure this will be level-headed and kind.
Mr. Ebert, how do you want 21st century evil to be portrayed in film and media? Tame and sanitized? Titillating and exploitive? Or do you want evil portrayed as it really is? Ugly, nihilistic, and cruel, as you say our film does it. We tried to give you something real. Real evil exists and cannot be ignored, sanitized, or exploited.
Okay.
It needs to be shown just as it is, and if this upsets you or leaves you saddened, that's the point.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting,
Now, when I asked you to be on the show, it was because of your background in wrestling. I thought this would tie in really good to this theme month. But as I was researching this, I was also able to see the movie that you wrote and produced and starred in, Fake Blood. Do you want to maybe tell folks a little bit about what Fake Blood is?
Yeah, so Fake Blood, for anybody that hasn't seen it, so I've been involved with independent film, I suppose, since I was young. And in 2006, we shot our first feature film, which was, weirdly enough, the kind of the beginning of Fake Blood. We did what we knew, which was a zombie comedy that we filmed on Super 16mm film, because we felt that it would give us some more credibility, which it actually did at that point in time, going, we're a bunch of kids that shot this on film. We shot another movie after that called Mon Ami, and then in between Mon Ami and Fake Blood, we being the director of Fake Blood, Rob Grant, and writer as well, and producer, and co-star, all the hats kind of thing.
It's your first time you're going to be doing a lot.
Yeah. It's and Rob is extremely successful now. He is a full-time editor / producer / we both went on to other things. But Rob received an email that was a couple of people going through a hardware store talking about how they would take apart a body with these hardware tools, because that's a thing that 2 of our characters in Mon Ami do. They go through and they have to deal with this body that they've accidentally killed, and so they go into a hardware store and buy all these things. And so when Rob got this little iPhone kind of film, he was thoroughly freaked out. He showed it to the rest of us that made the movie, and we were too, because we weren't sure were they joking? were they serious about this? What was the whole story? And that sort of flashpoint on this big conversation about film violence and our responsibility, if any, as filmmakers and artists to its portrayal on screen. Mm-hmm. And so we set out to talk to various individuals about kind of their own interpretations of on-screen violence versus off-screen, and go out and see Fake Blood because it gets real quick.
It's a great film, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It really keeps you guessing. It goes down one road and then right in the middle of it, it takes like a sharp detour left and then it becomes a completely different movie. And I was sitting there and I was going, I have no idea what's going to happen next.
And it's so hearing these comments about that what was his name?
David DeFalco.
David DeFalco there, and in response with Roger Ebert, because Roger Ebert, God rest his soul, I'm gonna put it out there that the whole and this is very much relating to wrestling actually, the whole persona that he had as a film critic is a persona. It is this public persona, which I hope for his own his own well-being is a different persona or an extension of Roger Ebert, the actual person. And so when it comes to the making of that very, very violent film, Chaos, what I would be most interested to see is what was the filmmaking process like for the people that were working on it on set? Because if it was done in a very healthy way, like I work in stunts and simulated violence, if it was done in a healthy way, it's very possible that they created the images of all this violence in a very safe, both physically and emotionally and all these things way, and then put it up on screen. So if they did it in a safe way and they are depicting unsafe things and we are just watching it as an audience, is that irresponsible? I would say that it's irresponsible if people got hurt, if people actually seriously
But if they all signed on board for it and they all knew what they were doing and they were like, this is like a collaborative effort to put this out and to show like the actual, the visceral realism of it all.
And one of the things that Scott Wallace, who was in Fake Blood and who was in Mon Ami, brought up that I thought was fantastic. He is a firearms aficionado. He is knowledgeable in that area. His thing when it comes to on-screen violence is, if we're going to be truthful about what it is that we're playing, show what a gun actually does to somebody, because that is far more apt to turn people off of firearm violence than showing
the glorification.
You get shot and you fall down. Yeah. And we talked about Saving Private Ryan, and the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, I think, is very gory, and at no point in time have I ever watched that movie or heard anybody that watched it and went, war is great. It is trying to be truthful to the whole experience, and so, it's an interesting debate. It's an interesting debate.
If you're interested, Ebert actually wrote a rebuttal to that.
Oh my goodness! This is great!
Ebert always got the last word when it came to these things.
He says, I believe evil can win in fiction, as it often does in real life, but I prefer that the artist express an attitude towards that evil. It's not enough to record it. What do you think and feel about it? What I miss in your film is any sense of hope. Sometimes it's all that keeps us going, and while I do not require a happy ending, I do appreciate some kind of catharsis. What I object to most of all in Chaos is not the sadism, brutality, torture, or nihilism, but the absence of any alternative to them. Your answer, that the world is evil and therefore it's your responsibility to reflect it, is no answer at all, but a surrender.
Oh, interesting. So that's an interesting counterpoint, and one of the things that I'm gonna really kind of go after so I work with Fight Directors Canada, which is a group that specializes in simulated violence, particularly for theater. And when I go and teach a new class, what I usually tell people is that we're trying to do all things, but especially this simulated violence, with an idea of consent behind it. And within my particular view of this consent that we're trying to operate under is it's threefold. First and foremost, when we're teaching a new person, this is what we're going to be doing, consent with themselves. So if I'm giving you something that doesn't work well with your body, you're going to bounce across stage and it's on your left leg, and you have a surgically reconstructed left leg. You have to operate under your own consent and go, oh, that's not great for me. We'll find something different. That's no problem whatsoever. But consent for your own body and listening to your own body. The second level of consent is between you and your partners that you're creating this thing with. We call it fight choreography for a reason. It's a dance, so making sure that your dance partners are with you. And if they are, then that level level of consent is there, and we can tell a good story, which is both safe physically and emotionally and spiritually, all of these things. The third realm of consent is consent from an audience. So that I don't think gets brought up kind of enough, and it's usually brought up, we bring this idea up with university students or people that are in high school, that, you know, if people see violence that they don't know is simulated, they just think that it is actually violence, they can't be put upon in any measurable way of how they're going to respond. If you see a bunch of high school students fighting in the halls and it looks real, people are going to call the cops, or they're going to try and get involved and stuff like that. And that's not the audience's responsibility. That's yours for not giving them, like, asking for consent in it. In a film or a theater situation where somebody has bought a ticket, sat down in a seat and said, "Show me," in my opinion, that's them consenting to what you're showing them. Mm-hmm. And of course, they absolutely have the rights to go, "I'm not cool with this anymore," and leave, and they don't have to be badgered by, like, "Stay, you promised us," things like that. But there's an element of consent in that as well. And if you're sitting there in the thing and you're watching the piece of art that we're assuming has been made responsibly and stuff like that, whatever, that's still your agency to sit there and go, "Yes, show me." Yeah. Right. And so with Mr. Ebert, I think that if he disagrees with the message, that's completely fine, and he has the right to disagree with it, but he's still consenting as an audience member to sit there and watch it.
What I have to say is, while I was watching Chaos on shitty quality on YouTube, there was multiple times I was sitting there and I was watching, and I was saying, like, why was Roger Ebert even here?
Yeah.
Why was Roger Ebert even watching this? He watched, I guess he probably watched every movie that came out, but what festival must he have been at that was showing this particular movie?
That is interesting.
What I will say is that, having seen Chaos, I could probably pinpoint the two moments that you can't talk about in, like, a newspaper, but maybe it's something to do with the fact that I'm pretty desensitized when it comes to this stuff. But I think a lot of the truly horrific stuff that happens in that movie it's not implied, because it happens, but the camera doesn't linger on it. It doesn't linger on the sexual assault. It cuts away, and we can hear it happening.
Oh, okay.
And to a certain extent, that's almost worse, because it's far more graphic in your mind or whatnot. Chaos is just a shitty movie. Badly shot, it's badly photographed, the editing is terrible.
It sounds to me like it is like a very torture porn kind of.
Oh, it's extremely torture porn. All the acting is terrible, but and you sort of touch on it in the movie Fake Blood, but you sort of touch on the subject of, those unfortunate examples of the people who have gone and they've witnessed violent media and have been inspired by it and have gone out and done horrible crimes and taken people's lives, and after they've been caught, they've said, natural born killers made me do this and whatnot. But your sort of point, if I'm not mistaken in the movie, is that, if natural born killers wasn't going to inspire them, something else invariably would have at some point.
We still haven't pulled Catcher in the Rye off shelves yet, have we? And that has been found because it was in the personal...
Mark David Chapman.
Yeah, like, that's absolutely been in there. I find it interesting that, violent media, I'll just kind of say that as an umbrella of violent media, seems to be a pretty good like scapegoat when it's present. If it's not present, then we don't go to, like, they were a cyclist. It's probably cycling that did it there.
It's more
fast speeds.
People are so quick to like point to, like, the outside influences of something, because, like, if that wasn't there, then we're going to have to ask some really tough questions about ourselves.
Yeah.
And, like, why we, like, allowed, like, a society that perpetuates that kind of stuff. I, like, in my spare time, have, like, an animated web series that does, like, it's a parody of superheroes and, like, the Punisher in particular. And he essentially, like, point blank shoots his, like, the villains of the piece.
That's the punchline of every episode.
Pretty
much. Villain gets shot in the face.
I don't like do, like, hyper realism with the cartoon. It's, like, somewhat stylistic in some of the action sequences, but, like, I don't glorify the violence whatsoever. But every time there is like a shooting tragedy in the States, I always feel like, am I going to have to say something about this? Is this, like, something that, like, this is just my silly superhero project. I'm not looking to weigh in on, like, a gun debate. And obviously national tragedies are just, like, absolutely horrific, and I wish they didn't happen. But, this is an art piece.
Yeah.
This is, something that I just do as a creative outlet.
And within that idea of art and, when we were preparing for Fake Blood, I was reading this book called Violence in the Arts, which, I believe came out in the 70s at some point in time. So this is not a new debate by by any means, but it brought up this, there's this painting, and it's called, I believe it was a Renaissance painting, and it was called The Rape. And if you look it up, it's a picture of a young woman on the ground, and her petticoats have been like pulled up and things like that. You can't actually see anything. It's very it's akin to kind of like you don't see actually what's happening.
It's the aftermath.
It's clearly the aftermath, and so it's very obvious. Like when you hear the title of it, what's happened, and it caused this uproar at that point in time in the society that was like, oh, this is terrible and this is awful and things like that. And the artist was trying to go like, this is a painting. Rape is terrible. Absolutely, I'm not trying to glorify it or anything like that. Rape is terrible. Yeah. It's an awful thing, and this is a painting of that terrible, terrible thing.
Not only that, it's like, a painting of the aftermath. It's the lingering effects. Yeah. It's not the action itself, which is awful, but like this is like the reality that woman would have to live with. That like it had happened.
And I mean, as an artist, if you can capture, like the look on a human being's face after she's just undergone one of the most horrific things that could have ever happened to her, terrible. And you can capture that, in oil and canvas and whatnot, like how is that not a masterpiece?
Well, and if it gets us talking about it, I can't hold sway over whether that's good or bad or whatnot. But this was not the thing. This was the depiction of this terrible thing, and it's not a new conversation, but it's always an interesting one to have. Especially the people that we didn't get to show on Fake Blood that I really, really wish we did was my mother, who has been she just retired, but she was an emergency nurse for 30 years, 25 of those in adult emergency. So she has seen some terrible things, and her favorite movie is Pulp Fiction. She, in her opinion, there is no connection whatsoever between real world violence and movies. She's like, it's night and day, and anybody that's seen it will show you, will tell you, there's no connection whatsoever. And we interviewed a couple of different people like that just we just for them, and I'm not saying that my mother speaks for all nurses or anything like that, but it was interesting to see that and go because and concerning Rob, Rob Grant, who has directed all these violent movies that we did. Rob, it seems anyways, like when it comes to depicted violence in an artistic form, he's fine with it. If you show him footage of surgery or anything real, he is out. He is out. He can't handle it. He can do fake gore and stuff like that.
I'll watch like a ninja movie where someone gets their head chopped off and was the worst looking dummy effect you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. And I'll laugh my ass off. But I can't look at real world
leaks footage of people suffering. I can't do it as well. I cannot do it. And for me, I don't want to see that at all. If we're telling a story, then great. And we're all telling the story together, then fine. But I don't want to see that real world violence at all. Yeah.
Well, this is easily the most serious conversation.
This is a very good conversation, I gotta say, and I can't wait to watch whatever kind of plot B movie we're gonna.
Can I just say, the movie we're about to watch, it's not supported.
I can't wait to carry over this really heady and very heavy discussion over this heavy wrong side of town.
This heavy, portentous conversation we're having about media and violence. Anyway, we're gonna take a break, and we're actually gonna watch Wrong Side of Town. And when we come back, we'll tell you about all the stupid stuff that happened in it. And
we're done with all that smart, brainy stuff.
It'll be a lot more...
time to watch some wrestlers try to act.
A lot more cathartic. All right, we'll see you after the break, everyone. Please come back. Please come back.
Thanks for sticking around for the whole thing.
For the 5 of you who are still left. I'm just joking. We don't have 5 listeners. All right, talk to you in a bit. Bye. And we're back. We're back from the wrong side of town.
Oof,
and what did we learn? What did we learn, everyone?
I learned that a movie that was filmed in 2010 looks like it was filmed in 1990.
That's the thing. I think I forgot to mention when I was introducing the movie earlier. This movie was filmed in 2010.
I learned that... I thought that you and I were friends, and I learned that we're not friends
we're friends. I always subject my friends to hideous tortures.
I'm clinging to that I'm clinging to that. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that was...
Well, you wouldn't sick some gang members on him in a park and then save him from the gang members that you sicked on him.
I'm trying to remember, like, what movies came out in 2010. 2010 was the year Avatar came out. Yeah. So how about that for...
We were 3 movies into the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that point.
And I don't want to put this on, like, Bautista, who, as we said before, was, I think he's a fine actor. Mm-hmm. And who knows, Rob Van Dam might have something to say... But I'm going to put this on the filmmakers. Like, just full out, like, on that.
Now, David DeFalco is a terrible filmmaker.
Yeah,
Yes, I've seen two films of his now, and that's 2 films too many.
Yeah.
There are some very glaring cinematography errors that are happening throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Close-ups are way too close.
Yep.
You can't do a steady shot to save him.
There's no tripod.
No, there's no tripod.
There's a tripod in one scene, and everything is staged so awkwardly with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of, like a camera shot will include, like, over the shoulder of some people. Sometimes if people are in a car, it'll shoot from the opposite side of who is talking, on the opposite side of the door.
Rob Van Dam picked up that device that took 3 different angles to get.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
It was just his little GPS. What I will say is, having seen both movies, after seeing Chaos makes Wrong Side of Town look like Citizen Kane. Like, it truly does. Like, at least Wrong Side of Town has establishing shots.
Yeah.
And editing that works 20% of the time. But okay, so just
let's recap the plot here.
A brief recap.
So the movie opens with a poor man's James Bond intro, with complete with music and silhouetted, shapely women. But my God, did it look like it had like a shoestring budget. This was like, I use like a very rudimentary editing software when I put together our videos for this. And I swear to God, I have like all the capabilities at my workstation to make this exact title sequence just with like the freeware shit.
You think you could like remake the title sequence for this?
Probably.
And like do it like significantly better?
Maybe.
This was
well, like I am but one man, working on this for free. This was a fucking production team and it looks like shit.
Yes. I remembering those opening credits, I'm reminded that this movie had 3 editors, one of which had a nickname, I believe it was D-Ray with an exclamation mark.
And I can only assume it was because they kept quitting. They were just like, no, I can't do this.
Or maybe he got the nickname while working on the movie because like they'd see the dailies and DeFalco would come back like, who edited this together? And everyone was like, D-Ray!
There were like 10 producers on this movie. A lot of co-producers, a lot of executive producers.
I just want your name attached to this.
Yeah.
We were talking all the way through the opening James Bond credits, so you guys didn't really hear, but this movie does have like an original title song called Wrong Side of Town that's playing over top of it.
And I bet it's as good as all the other music in this movie. Yeah. Which is to say not good.
It holds the par all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely does.
Yeah, it's a lot of new metal. It's a lot of
bad new metal.
And a lot of just like, oh God, I don't even know how to describe it. Mm-hmm. It's aggressive.
Wall
of
sound, kind of, no dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't imagine a lot of the bands that made the soundtrack, they kind of stuck together. This kind of seems like, they're just session musicians.
Or they don't even know. They don't even know that their stuff was chosen. And they're like, what?
They stole the songs.
Those are a joke band. What the hell?
Okay, so recapping the plot, real quick. RVD plays Bobby, who is an ex-Navy SEAL and a current landscape architect. Even though it's not mentioned in the movie, but the plot synopsis did mention that he is one. We know he's a landscape architect.
Because he punches a log.
Yes, because in the opening scene, he's chainsawing a log, and it stops halfway through, and his solution is
go-to. Yeah.
to just punch his way through it. And he lives a quiet suburban life with his wife, Dawn, and their teenage daughter, Brianna. Who we see in the opening scene hilariously pretending to drown in their pool.
You mentioned that it was just like a roller coaster of emotion.
Well, we saw every human emotion within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Despair,
without knowing
panic.
anything about these characters.
Yeah, no, at all. And then they laugh about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this rolls off their back.
I don't know if this is me reading into things or whatnot, or maybe it was was the fact that the actor that they cast to play the teenage daughter just looked maybe noticeably older than the teenage years. But did you guys notice a little something going on between her and Rob Van Dam?
This is the thing. Is
something
that, like,
decisively not father and daughter.
She had to have been of age. So the actor herself.
Right,
yeah.
I feel like she was, because I can't imagine them, like, getting a tutor for a child and, like, respecting 8-hour filming days and stuff like that for that. I'm hoping she was of age.
Yeah.
I hope there was nothing between her and Rob Van Dam.
I kind of get
It's all speculative.
I get the impression
I'm not
that-
going out here saying that Rob Van Dam goes around sleeping.
No.
Yeah. It was weird that they made the daughter sexy.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was, because I thought that there was, like, a bit of for me, without giving away the plot, it was kind of like a Death Wish mixed with Mean Streets of North Gansum, mixed with 16 Blocks, mixed with True Lies, mixed with Tom Jane's The Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
And True Lies, I felt that they were kind of doing, like, a True Lies with it, like, there's the daughter and stuff like
Right.
that. But they didn't try and sex up the daughter in True Lies.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, they sure did.
Yeah, if it's his teenage daughter, like, you cast that a certain way, especially if you're going to, spoiler, kidnap her in the later half of the movie.
Yeah.
You don't make her like a buxom damsel in distress, which is what they did in this movie.
Because it's a
like
very
creepy.
grotesque, very machismo kind of movie.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, they are quickly visited by Clay, their neighbor, who is the lamest character I think I've seen in a movie in a long time. Nobody respects Clay.
Nobody respects him.
And
you don't get an ending for Clay.
No,
at
he's
all.
just like this whiny loser.
Yeah.
Can't handle a hammer, but he does borrow a hammer from RVD.
I thought that they were going to bring that back in. Like he, like somebody.
Like, people hoped he was going to man up.
He was going to man up with a hammer, yeah.
Here's with the hammer.
But you're
like
right,
that.
they kind of peter off with that character. So Clay and his wife, I mean, Clay's a dork, but he's got a very attractive wife.
Yes.
Who we were all under the assumption the first time was
the daughter.
Was the daughter
I thought it was
in
the
the next
daughter.
scene that we see, but no, Clay has a very attractive wife, Elise.
Yeah.
So Clay, as thanks for getting a hammer lent to him, invites RVD and his wife to out to like a date night, double date night, where they go to a nightclub / Szechuan restaurant.
I have a lot to say about this nightclub that they go to here. Okay, so in the opening scene before the James Bond credits happen, we meet the film's villain, Seth, who's a nightclub manager / crime boss.
And I'm just going to put it out there that they were like, let's get Ben Kingsley from Sexy Beast. And they're like, we can't afford that at all. We can't do it.
And
so,
Ben Kingsley has been in some terrible movies.
He's been in some terrible
He was
movies.
in Blood Rain.
He was.
So he'll do shit.
He will, but they were like, he's busy
This
or
is
something.
where he drew the line.
Yeah. But sorry, continue. I just wanted to jump in there,
So this is what I want to. So Clay invites the two of them out for like a double date night, as you said, and he says like,
I got this great spot that I do business with downtown. Best Szechuan in the city.
I deliver wine to them. I'm like their liquor distributor. It's the best Szechuan in town. That's how he sells it.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very specific. And then when they get to the club,
Because it is a club.
it is a club. It's like a banging nightclub with like a full dance floor and just
Bouncer line up outside.
pounding music, just like the natural nightclub that you would see. Now, okay, granted.
And the second floor is the restaurant.
Granted, I don't go to a lot of nightclubs.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that there might be like a nightclub / food sort of service that goes along with the nightclub. I certainly wouldn't associate like a crazy banging nightclub with the best Szechuan in town.
Yeah.
Because like the upstairs does seem like a fine dining kind of restaurant.
But once you go upstairs, all of the noise from the club just evaporates.
That's
and
good canceling, though. That's like very well.
Well, the noise in the nightclub is kind of a problem for a couple of different reasons. There's one more thing I want to say about the nightclub. Okay, so they go and he sells it on like this is the best Szechuan in town. Then later on, the two wives are in the bathroom.
Yep.
And Elise says to Dawn,
Are you okay? Oh, God. I'm fine. That sushi did a number on my stomach.
sushi and Szechuan are two completely different cuisines.
And you should be wary of a place that has, like, everything.
Yeah.
It's the unwritten rule, you know, like if you go to a strip club, don't eat the wings. If you go to a nightclub, don't order the sushi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be,
Go for the Szechuan, apparently. Yeah.
I just love that Szechuan and sushi on the same fucking... Oh, anyway.
Yeah, anyways, Seth has to leave for villainous reasons, so he leaves his little brother in charge, Ethan, who is this coked up
Kevin Federline looking kind of yeah. There's a coke montage.
Yes, there is. Where he's like doing coke off his cross and everything.
Oh yeah. Seth goes off to like that. He's like, he says I'm going to be gone for an hour. I'm going to be gone for 1 hour. I'm leaving the club in your hands. And Ethan's like, no problem. I got this. Seth really aggressively grabs his face. I'm like, I love you, you stupid idiot. So like, I got it. Don't worry about it. I absolutely get it. Seth leaves, and Ethan immediately starts snorting cocaine off of his gold Jesus cross.
Yeah.
And then wanders out into the club and runs into Dawn, Rob Van Dam's wife, coming out of the bathroom.
Yep.
And immediately assaults her.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a very uncomfortable to watch scene, which is unsurprising when you learn that this is from the director of Chaos.
It is very aggressive, and in hindsight, a lot of the actual fight scenes were really hard to follow because they can't stage the two actors fighting in the same shot. But we got a clear shot of him grabbing this woman's breast.
Yes,
It is pretty off-putting now that I think about it.
Yeah, and we talk, depending on what gets cut in, we talked about the whole responsibly done. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that this was not done with an intimacy director on set. I'll say that.
Well, okay, what I will say is we had a lot of fun laughing at the actress who played Dawn. Lara Grice is her name. One particular line reading she kept saying over and over again.
Oh my God, Bobby.
Oh my God, Bobby.
Oh my God, Bobby. Oh my God, Bobby. Oh my God, Bobby.
What I will say, though, is that in the moment immediately after the sexual assault is over, and Rob Van Dam is holding her in his arms, and she's weeping into him, harrowing. Absolutely, I thought that was a moment that completely took me out of it. I'm all like, oh, I really feel sorry for this woman. And speaking to what you were saying, there probably wasn't sensitivity.
There probably
on the
was,
thing.
most likely.
So Rob Van Dam goes looking for Dawn, finds her just in the, saves her in the nick of time.
But we have to mention the fact, so Dawn has gone missing, none of the other people know where they are, and there's a shot of them going around the club, on the club floor, trying to find her, and then
they hear her screaming over the loud banging.
Bullshit!
The acoustics in that place are just wild.
So RVD saves her, and Ethan pulls out a knife, and just through some kind of deflection move or whatever, Ethan accidentally stabs himself in the heart,
dying instantly.
Instant death. Instant death. Stabbed him. It's one of those stabs to the heart that immediately sends a signal to your brain. It's just all dead now.
You gotta die.
100% dead now.
Yeah.
So Seth gets wind of it. He races back to the club. Figures that correctly assumes that RVD is responsible.
Who did this? Nobody answers them. They just lock eyes. Just that's the guy.
That's probably him.
Yeah, that's probably most likely.
This was my other favorite moment. So Seth is freaking out. His brother is on a gurney. He's free. He's yelling, Ethan! He's grabbing him. He's going, who did this? He's in the midst of the biggest emotional outburst of his entire life. He sees Rob Van Dam, figures out that he did it, and his choice insult to the man who killed his brother is, You menace!
Like J. Jonah Jameson yelling at Spider-Man, "You menace!" And what I didn't even think about. They met each other earlier on in the night.
Yeah.
So there's just a chance that Guy was there. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's
here's this guy screaming, and he was looking over a gurney of a dead body. They're gonna get some looky-loo."
Yeah.
I think maybe it's meant to imply that he looked over and RVD was kind of looking
guilty.
Well, he was looking a little bit like. Yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Trying to save my wife there.
Yeah, from your...
So, Seth puts the hit out on RVD, assisted by the crooked police captain.
And
who's in his
their
pockets.
multicultural gang.
Yes.
That was the same stunt guys 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
in different wear, because that stunt list they had was 16 dudes long. that they just kept recycling.
They were just putting them in different costumes,
Yeah.
and like slightly
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the biker gang, there's the gangbangers, there's the the gay group,
the gas station,
the rockabilly types,
the rockabilly gas station people.
Yeah,
It's
kind of reminiscent of. I'll throw one more movie onto that pile you were saying earlier. It's kind of reminiscent of The Warriors. A little bit.
Okay, for sure.
With
for
all
sure,
the different gangs and stuff. It's just, they weren't colorful enough, and like, occasionally the movie tried to give the different gang members a little bit of personality. Like, they worked a little bit on like the two big burly biker guy, who I loved, like one of, you guys correctly, one of them is the guy who beats up George Clooney in Ocean's 11.
Yep.
And the other one is the huge guy with the beard that hangs out in the bar in the two Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
And they get like some kind of wacky little moments, you know, like talking about like going to community college and stuff like that.
But I'm not a meathead. I went to community college.
Did you graduate?
No.
And then like there's some moment paid to like the gangbangers in the red convertible or whatnot.
Yep.
I mean, they're not developed as characters, but the movie still forces us to watch them interact with each other as if they did have personalities or interesting shit to say.
Yeah.
But really, they're just like featured extras.
Viscera shows up as part of the gang. I thought that he was for sure going to come back.
As Animal.
Not.
Yeah, he did not. He really didn't.
He had a gas station fight, and that was about it.
Yeah.
He showed up to grapple with RVD briefly, get his nuts grabbed, get covered in gas, and then leave.
And then leave.
Then he's not in the movie anymore.
Yeah,
but
they're like, do we have the budget for the fire? We don't.
Yeah.
We don't have the budget for
We'll
the
just
fire.
spray the guy with gas, and then hint that we're going to do something awesome, but we don't have it in the budget.
Most of the people I mentioned earlier in this thing are in the movie for like 2 minutes at the very least. Viscera might be in the movie more than Ja Rule is.
Yeah, there's a chance,
And like 2010, Ja Rule was pretty damn famous.
And in this version of America, guns are hard to come by. Guns are very hard to come by. Until they're not.
That gas, going back to that gas station for a bit, that was the director cameo you were saying.
Yes, David DeFalco was in this movie. He shows up as the gang leader. It's a little callback to what I was saying earlier about the Ebert fight. He's literally playing a character named Demon.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they all have stupid names.
Yeah.
But, the director shows up in this movie to try to act menacing against actual tough guys.
Yeah, which doesn't really work.
No.
So later on, there's that whole, sequence where they're just, running around at night trying to evade the different gangs, and it goes on for,
Which one? There's so many of them!
And then they go back to the cop station! They go back there!
Yeah!
And then they leave again!
They go back there just so, the cop can find out that he is, ex-Navy SEAL or something.
You
Yeah.
know what I just realized, too, is they were at the cop station, they were getting their statements taken about what happened to Ethan, and the corrupt police guy is behind the two-way mirror and he's watching everything. Yeah. And then they run off and they run away from the gangs a bunch of times. And then after everything happens, the four of them go back to the police station and the corrupt cop comes out to meet them and Rob Van Dam starts explaining the situation. He's like, my name is Bobby Kalinowski or whatnot. And he goes wait, you're Bobby Kalinowski? You know who he is! Yeah. You watched his entire confession!
Unless that was his character trying to no-sell it.
They really didn't do anything with that corrupt cop though. I thought for sure that there was going to be, they're going to set up this whole frame-up job, but all the detectives that were interviewing them for the interrogation or whatever, they're just their stories corroborate. Yeah, we got prints on the knife, and it's are you not going to try to do a frame-up or anything?
He from the beginning, you're totally right. Yeah, he was no, we shouldn't do this from the beginning.
Yeah,
he didn't have a big The
corrupt cop had the whole movie. He was turning on Seth.
Yeah,
that was his character.
It was his story. Actually,
it was his story.
Yeah,
it was the story of a bad cop who did right.
Yes.
So the four of them are running all over town. They go back to the police station because very evidently none of their cell phones work.
None.
Dawn, call 911.
I'm not getting any service.
The worst coverage in whatever city this is.
Yes.
Shit, still no signal.
2010.
Yeah.
Oh, I just figured, I just realized why their cell phones aren't working. Because they're on the wrong side of town.
Oh my God.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
God.
Okay. All right.
Well, why else was the title? call that. There's no wrong side of town. It's just all of downtown. It seems to be a cesspool.
They didn't work because the script dictated they shouldn't work. So RVD tells like his friends, like, hey, they're just after me. Like, go camp out at home or whatever. Yeah. Even though that's probably where the gangs would like go to look for them first. But like, they're only after me. I'm gonna go for some backup or something. And he goes to this random strip club to enlist BR, who is played by Dave Bautista.
Big Ronnie, about, God, what is it, like, I want to say like 45 minutes into the movie, we're finally getting Dave Bautista. This is a good opportunity. So something we like to do on the show sometimes is, something we haven't done yet with this movie is I like to show you guys what the box art looks like, and then kind of like think about what someone's reaction would be if they were to rent this movie and then get the movie that we ended up getting.
Great.
45 minutes into this movie, Dave Bautista shows up, and
he shows up with Stormy Daniels. Who has like maybe 2 lines and like a minute of screen time. Yeah. And then she's gone. We do see her topless, and that's that's the best you can hope for with Stormy Daniels.
Okay, I can't get a great picture of it, but essentially the point is that Dave Bautista is front and center. And
my God!
Holding 2 big guns, RVD is off to the side, and the third one, and the
principal character,
the third guy is Ja Rule, who's in the movie for 2 minutes and is not on the same team as everyone else.
You're gonna put those big stars up first, I guess. And,
you gotta do. I mean, they are the two. They are the 3 big names.
He's the biggest star. Yeah.
Yeah. We mentioned this earlier, but let's talk about the moment where they're cornered in the parking garage by the Black Gang.
By the gangbangers.
And I mentioned that they're the Black Gang because they
comes up. It's important.
They make a point to single Clay out. Yeah. They literally say, "What are you doing here, Black?"
Yes.
Hey man, what you doing out here, Black? Huh? Hanging out with these cats.
And then Clay, after the gang are subdued, Clay gives this impassioned speech.
We've come a long way from slavery to Obama. We need to stop using the N-word. It's disrespectful.
So it was written by that director as well. So
unless that actor improvised that in the moment.
In the moment, it was like, you know what, we should just throw this in there. I do feel like it was the director going like, just giving himself license to like, I commented on it.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sadly, this movie took place in 2010, and I hate to say it, but like Clay, you still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that point in 2010 where everyone's cell phone stopped getting reception.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that was a hard couple of months.
Well, all of them are on flip phones too, which was just like,
So Bautista won't help RBD at first.
He's not gonna help him
because it was very Godfather of him, because it's like, you've never invited me over to your house for dinner, for a picnic.
Which is
I've never seen your family.
He doesn't know his daughter.
Yeah. So like, I'm running for I'm trying to save the life of myself and my family from this dangerous crime lord, but you won't fucking help me because I didn't invite you to dinner. Like,
there will be no dinner.
My life is in danger. Like,
I'm sorry.
Since we're here, let's talk briefly about Stormy Daniels' role in this, who is just... Oh, I forgot to mention the name of the character that she's playing.
Is
Stormy. Yeah, but no, she only has 2 lines. She's sitting next to Batista the entire time.
Topless.
Her breasts are exposed because, you put Stormy Daniels in a movie, and that's what you're going to get. That's what you get, whether you want it or not. And the only 2 lines Batista and RVD are in the middle of like this like intense conversation. It's like, I need your help. You need to save my family. I don't want to do it for these reasons. And then just kind of apropos of nothing, Stormy just goes,
"What's the matter? Don't like girls?"
The thing is, like, he was trying to get her to leave because he wanted to talk to her.
Yeah, can we have some privacy?
Yeah, he's
she's
like, girls.
You want to dance? Like, no, I want to talk to my old army buddy.
Yeah, I have no reasons. I can't back
my old army buddy.
I have no reasons for that.
Alright, apologies everyone, just some minor technical difficulties there.
Crazy! That happened.
We're time jump. It's all
basically
good.
what happened is I didn't take enough files off of my laptop before recording this, and my computer is slowly running out of memory. So,
as you may have noticed, we're running a little long in this episode.
So we'll wrap up Wrong Side of Town.
You didn't miss much. You missed me talking about a cabbie who was a shitty actor, and that's really inconsequential.
You
mind taking the freeway?
No, yes, sir. I have to go to the gas station. I have to relieve myself real quick.
You couldn't have done that before you picked us up.
Sir, nature calls when nature calls, okay?
Make it quick, huh?
Yes, sir, I will.
What other major plot points do we need to hit on?
At one point, RVD goes back to his home to sort of like nurse his wounds because like throughout the movie, he's limping. He takes a gunshot to the hand,
to somewhere,
to his shoulder, and he's still kicking. But at one point, he just has to patch himself up.
Well, he gets his butt kicked by the people in the park.
Mm-hmm.
He just completely gets wasted.
Yeah,
so
Bautista saves him. Well, Batista sicked the gang on him. And we all thought, like, oh, he's here to save him, and he's just doing a ruse. No, he was legit going to turn him in, and then he was reminded that he saved his life, and so he wound up saving him.
Yeah. By shooting Ja Rule in the head.
By shooting him point blank, and that was a wrap on Ja Rule.
After his 2 lines in the movie.
Mm-hmm. So RVD goes back to his place, he takes the bullet out of his shoulder, and then we assumed he was, like, injecting himself with some kind of, like, painkiller or something. But no, it's steroids. It's straight up steroids.
At least it reads like that. I think that they were trying to do it as like, how can he fight so well again? Because he was like fresh after that. Mm-hmm. But it really just did look like he was injecting himself with steroids.
Yeah. But at that point in time, he didn't know anything was wrong. He didn't know that his daughter was kidnapped. So he was just going to bed at that point.
And just injected himself in the ass with some steroids.
Yeah, it would have made sense if it was all like, this is my gearing up moment where I'm going to go fight them and I need to like a little extra juice. But no, he was just going to bed. So I don't know, maybe it was something to counteract the lead poisoning sifting through his veins.
Yeah.
But that brings me to like the other point is that he comes home from everything, sneaks in, he sees that his wife is in bed. It's like, all right, my wife got home fine, that's great. I'm going to go into the bathroom, take this bullet out, shoot myself up with my nighttime steroids. It's NyQuil. He's got like NyQuil in his thing. Yeah. Crawls into his bed next to his wife.
Who is asleep, we can assume.
Asleep, but she's been tied up and she's got duct tape over her mouth, which is when we learn that the daughter has been kidnapped.
Yeah.
So she slept through all of that. She slept through him coming home. She slept through him.
Trauma does weird things. She's been assaulted. Mm-hmm. She's been roughed up. Her daughter's been. We don't know what happened when before. Like,
and this all takes place over what we think is like the span of like 3 hours,
3 or 4, 5 hours at the most.
Maybe even
kind
less.
Of thing. Yeah,
it's a busy night.
So she might have just like peaked adrenaline wise and was in bed and was like, you know what, no.
She's like, well, I'm duct taped up, tapes over my mouth. I can't get up. I can't move. Husband's not home yet.
So
might as well have a nap.
So Seth takes RVD's daughter, and they have like a little like kidnapping thing or whatnot, and it's here where the bombshell of the entire movie is revealed that Ethan was in fact Seth's son and not his brother.
Yeah,
and we get this big dramatic monologue where it's like, I got a girl pregnant, and my mother was like, not in this house. So, like, when the kid was born, she said it was his, and, like, we all pretended. But again, apropos of nothing.
To nothing. Yeah, really, we didn't really get a lot out of that.
No.
And it wasn't even to our protagonist. That was to the crooked cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, it felt like they had just, like, did, like, a rewrite on the spot, like without, like...
How can we justify this? Why do we have to justify this? Mm-hmm. Who cares? Here we go.
Yeah. So, like, what difference does it make that first of all, what difference does it make that it was his son and not his brother? Throughout the movie, they're just like, who cares about your brother? He's a liability. He's an asshole. And he's like, he's my son. Well, if it's his brother, that's a perfectly fine motivation.
Yeah, for sure.
For wanting revenge. And if it's his son, fine. But, like... Why couldn't they have just made him always his son?
Yeah.
Or why couldn't they have just kept him as the brother?
Yeah.
Why did they have to have that included as this weird twist?
Maybe they were like, you know what? In Face Off, it was the brother. And in The Punisher, it was the son. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do like a Chinatown and have it like brother-son.
He's my son! He's my brother! And the big burly bikers just slapping him back and going, he's my son and my brother!
That was it, yeah.
But... Yeah, it just made absolutely no fucking sense.
No,
I didn't like it.
Very strange. Very
strange.
I
mean, God, it's like really, God, we're running long anyway, but honestly, there's not a hell of a lot more to discuss about this movie. It wraps up pretty much the way you assumed it would.
An awkward sexual tension moment between the daughter and father.
They make their escape down these vandalized pipes in a very uncool looking escape sequence.
Yes.
set to, you guessed it, more aggressive hardcore rock.
We do gotta talk about, because Bautista does come back.
He does.
He does. He lends him another hand, and he joins in. He's all like, okay, I'm gonna be the other guy that helps you fight these guys. And Bautista has this square off against Seth's right-hand man, who's this
sunglass-wearing...
mute sunglass-wearing gentleman who's always wearing sunglasses, even though the entire movie takes place at night. Mm-hmm. And right before he squares off with Bautista, he removes his shirt in a scene of bravado. The entire time, every time we were getting into a fight, you were like, oh, this is going to be a sexy fight.
It's going to be a sexy fight.
Yeah, you were like, and finally, we actually got a sexy fight. Until he lost his nipple.
Yes.
And they made a big deal out of showing that he lost his nipple.
Yeah, and it turns out that was the fight coordinator for this movie.
Yes.
For the movie, yeah.
Yeah, he's been previously off camera, now he's on camera.
As a stunt coordinator yourself.
Oh my god. Oh lord. Yeah, this is...
a prominent role.
Yeah, prominent role.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. RVD breaks the neck of Seth and takes his daughter home, and then the movie just abruptly ends. It just stops.
It just ends, and I know that there was the motorcycle driving from RVD. I can only assume that they made it home on that motorcycle. It was being driven very slowly.
They just walked home.
No urgency to save his daughter.
Well, looking at it now, I bet that RVD is not a motorcycle driver, which is fine, but they made him wear sunglasses when he was, which I can't imagine helped.
If he's going off to rescue his daughter, it makes sense to suit up and get your gear and everything like that. Take the sunglasses off.
Yeah, the sunglasses out there, we want you to wear sunglasses.
And maybe you want to step on it.
Who are you looking cool for?
Yeah. Very strange choices.
Yeah. There was one thing that I noticed in this. I want to jump back a little earlier, but there was one thing that I noticed that really confused the hell out of me. So, RVD is on the run from, a bunch of the motorcycle thugs, and he's climbing up a ladder on the side of a building, and the thugs are shouting, shoot him on the leg, Seth wants him alive, and they shoot him, and they hit him somewhere, and I'm assuming in the shoulder, because that's where we see the bullet later.
Quite clear.
And then he falls off the ladder onto a dumpster, and all the thugs immediately go, run! They all like, shit, run away, we gotta go! And they go, and we hear police sirens in the background, so my assumption is that, the cops are on their way, so we gotta get out of here. The cops never show up, and then, immediately after all the bikers run away, RVD just gets up and limps away. Well, and it's like, was that done? I thought that was their plan the entire time.
It fell backwards a good 3 stories.
Well, and then when they were reporting back to him, they're like, "Yeah, we're pretty sure he's dead." To what's his name? Seth.
Yeah, to Seth.
Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, we're pretty sure he's dead." To the movie's
credit, it does explain away the fact that these two guys are just complete idiots, because in the next scene he's calling them idiots. But it's like get him off of the building, but don't kill him. Oh, the exact thing we wanted to happen happened. Run. It's like not even grab him and run. Yeah. It's just bail.
Bail right away there.
Yeah. That was dumb.
And I can only assume that he wasn't actually hit by that bullet, because when he took the bullet out of his shoulder, I guess they would have made it a deal out of taking it out of his leg.
Yeah.
So he just hurt it.
Yeah.
On the fall.
Yeah, just twisted his ankle or something.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much everything I got.
All right, cool. Well, now comes the time in the podcast where we ask the people on the podcast, Mike, would you recommend Wrong Side of Town?
There are people out there that love bad movies, and if you love bad movies, this is fine dining. This is great. Yeah. But to people that I love and know and love, never in 100 years. Yeah.
So not what I did.
Yeah.
You jackass. I don't know if I'd recommend this movie. I hate the soundtrack of this movie. It's a lot of the action is really hard to follow. It's baffling in some really good ways, but I can't think of any kind of saving grace.
It's an obnoxious film. It's an utterly obnoxious film from beginning to end. It's interesting to see where Bautista got started. And as we were saying earlier, he said he was ashamed of his acting. He's far from the worst actor in the movie.
He's not bad at all.
That's the caveat.
Yeah.
But Bautista is doing the best job he possibly could have done with...
He's really good in the one scene in the strip club.
Where you been all these years? You got a wife now, a daughter, right? Have I ever met him? Hell no. When's the last time you popped your head in here and said, hey, Big Ronnie, want to come over for dinner? How about never? So don't walk in here like we're family. You know what? don't you just get the fuck out of here before I collect that bounty myself?
Yeah.
He's really bad in, like, the next scene he's in where he's, like, giving the one-liners to Ja Rule.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you, man? I said I changed my mind. Let him go. Let him go. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck myself? Yeah, I'm taking him in. You're taking him in. Go fuck myself. I'm fucking taking him in. You're taking him in. He's worth $100,000. I'm taking him in. Am I not speaking English? I don't give a fuck what you speaking, you big goofy motherfucker. I said I'm taking him in. Telling me to go fuck myself? Thought we were friends. What? You're sorry? Apology not fucking accepted. Fucking piece of shit.
And then for the rest of the movie, he's serviceable.
Yeah. See, with the thing with Ja Rule, I feel like that director was like, improv a bit. Just go for it. And he was like, I don't know how to, okay, or just...
Or like, I can improv, but it's gonna be as...
It's gonna be stilted as shit, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Incidentally, David DeFalco has not directed anything since this movie.
Shocking.
His career
what a
stops
shame.
right
Shocking.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you are the first guest on this show who actually probably has something to plug. So plug away. What do you got coming up?
In terms of, you know what? Like, I'm just terrible. Like, more projects are like in the pipe. Is that the thing? So right, there's irons in the fire, but we don't know which ones we're gonna hit next.
Right.
So I will say. Go watch Fake Blood. Watch Fake Blood and watch Mon Ami if you want an interesting story.
And those are available on iTunes.
They are. They're available on iTunes and Amazon and whatnot there. So,
do you have any ECCW stuff coming up?
Oh, there's going to be another Ballroom Brawl that's happening in July. If anybody's interested, come on down to ECCW. They're a wonderful company, and boo and cheer your hearts out.
Cool, fantastic. I'll throw a plug your way, just because something I know that you're in because I saw it on your IMDb, and I know it because I auditioned for the same role. You're in Valley of the Boom.
Oh yes, I am in Valley of the Boom, which was an interesting getting of that role.
You beat Kaz for it.
I don't know if they were looking for somebody strung out on lack of sleep, but when I auditioned for that role, I had auditioned for a different role. I was doing stunt acting underneath a bridge until 5 a.m. I happened to wake up at 10 a.m. to go to the washroom. There was a message from my agent going like, hey, there's an audition at 11 a.m. Can you make it? So I was like, sure, why not? There was like 7 pages of dialogue or something like that. Or sorry, there was like a 3-page monologue, and I learned it. So maybe they were looking for somebody like really strung out on lack of sleep.
There you go. You've just helped me. Just next time I have an audition, just stay up. Just
Charlie
like
Sheen it.
Chain smoking until...
Charlie Sheen it from...
Your
from
advice is going to wind up killing Kaz.
Down
I hope you realize
vodka
that.
and tomato juice right before I go in the room.
Hire me!
It was to such a degree, and I'm not joking about this, when we did the read-through with everybody, I genuinely didn't know what the hell I had done, because I was so tired, and so I just guessed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for appearing on this show.
So much for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Yeah, this has been a delight.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope to come back.
Yeah, and give my regards to Cassidy.
I will.
All right, well, that concludes WrestleMania, everyone. Join us next time for just a regular old movie.
Yeah,
let's leave theme months alone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We've been leaning heavily on that for a while.
That was a dark path that we went down for the last little while.
Yeah,
but yes, join us again next year for WrestleMania.
Oh, is this a yearly thing that we're doing?
Maybe. We still got to watch the sequel to Assault on Devil's Island.
Oh, that's right. Assault on Death Mountain.
There's at least one.
All right, I take it back. There's tons of wrestler movies. All right, I guess we'll be doing this forever then.
And ever.
And ever. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for sticking with us for this probably absurdly long episode.
What a journey.
But it was great. It was fantastic. Thanks again. All right. See you next time.
Bye, guys.